Let's continue talking about entrepreneurial thinking tools. The first was about entrepreneurial ideas. Now let's talk about entrepreneurial uncertainty and entrepreneurial risk. We hear a lot that entrepreneurship is very uncertain enterprise. Even if you are doing entrepreneurship, corporate entrepreneurship as part of the company, it is still very, very risky, or it leads to risky or uncertain outcomes. And it all comes from our inability to see the future. So, can we see the future? Probably, yes, a little bit. So I know that in the next 5 minutes I will still be recording this video lecture. But can we see enough for proper strategic analysis? Probably no. We really don't know what will happen to our industry 6 months down the road or 1 year down the road. We don't know what will happen to the industry once we introduce our product. We cannot foresee the responses of competitors. We cannot predict the responses of customers to our product perfectly. We can have some broad ideas about the future, but definitely not enough for traditional strategic analysis that we learned in strategic management classes. Things like Porter's 5 forces, pest analysis, SWOT analysis, and so on. So entrepreneurs somehow must deal with this uncertainty. If you are putting something new on the market, you don't know what will be the response, but you somehow have to deal with it. This is where I have to talk to one of the well-known economists. His name is Frank Knight. He was in Chicago, in University of Chicago, and he wrote in 1921, he published a book called Risk, Uncertainty and Profit that dealt with this precise problem. So Frank Knight was the first to discuss what are the types of risks and uncertainty. And the first type of risk is a priori, mathematical probability. So this is mathematical probability that you can calculate in advance. Good example is if you toss a coin or throw dice, you have pretty good understanding of what are the chances of getting certain combination on a dice or getting heads or tails on your coin. This is a priori mathematical probability. This is how most people learn about probability theory using some games from casino, and unfortunately it is not applicable too much outside casino in general. So this is not the right even way to talk about probabilities, because a priori mathematical probability is seen in life only in very artificial circumstances, like casino. Then Frank Knight talked about statistical risk. Statistical risk is all about looking at the past and trying to predict the future on the basis of the past. The whole insurance industry is based on the idea of statistical risk. So it is, we don't know whether this particular office will catch fire in the next year, whether it will or whether it will not. But we have really good understanding of what are the chances that this office will catch a fire on the basis of hundreds of years of observations of similar houses and their chances of getting fire. The same is, for example, if you produce sparkling wine or champagne somewhere in France. Some small percentage of bottles, 5 to 10% of your bottles, will explode during the production process and during the transportation. You don't know which bottle exactly will explode, but it really does not matter, because you know that their number is not going to exceed 10%. So this is statistical risk when you look at the past and you try to predict the future. Unfortunately, when you're getting a new innovative product on the market, so for example, there is a product that I like this particular tablet that allows me to write, to make notes rather than using papers. When you're launching this type of product that has never been on the market before, first, you cannot estimate probability of success a priori, mathematically, like there is no way, it is not like tossing a coin. And second thing, the past cannot really help you with chances of success either, because there was nothing similar on the market before, and you simply don't have enough observations from the past in order to be able to infer anything. So, going back to Frank Knight, he said that there is something called true uncertainty. True uncertainty is when you have no estimation of probability of success or failure. And simultaneously, you generally speaking don't even know how much can you make or how much can you lose. So true uncertainty is what entrepreneurs deal with all the time. I would personally define entrepreneurship as actions that create this true uncertainty, actions that lead to unpredictable outcomes, either major success or major failures, and you cannot estimate the chances, you cannot put probabilities to these outcomes. So a priori mathematical probability and statistical risks are just costs. This is something against which you can buy insurance. So if you are talking about producing these sparkling wines or champagne wines, well, if 10% of them explode during transportation, then ultimately who cares? You just increase your price by 15-20% and you're totally fine. The only source of profit is this true uncertainty, is when you have to overcome major uncertainty, you have to make huge bets, controllable bets. All entrepreneurship, disciplined entrepreneurship is all about affordable loss principle, about using your means, and so on. But ultimately, the only source of profit is true uncertainty, when you cannot put the probabilities for particular outcomes. True uncertainty is the only source of profit. This idea came from Frank Knight, and it still remains true.